attacks certain parts of the body if somebody has perhaps weak lungs. We've seen respiratory mortality here in the U.S. go from number 8 down to number 3 in the past 5 years. I mean, that's shocking. And so what it will do, it will attack the weaker part of somebody's body. And, of course, we're seeing illness, including cancers. Strontium is a carcinogen, and we're seeing cancer on the rise as well. So we believe that a lot of the illness that we're seeing, certainly the aluminum-related illness, is directly correlated to this. And when people wake up to really what's going on, there is going to be a lot of anger. So we're not at a season where we can deny this or we can protect this. These are our family members, they're our loved ones who are getting sick from this. So it's deeply concerning to those of us who are aware specifically of what's going on.
Yeah, I guess the bottom line is that if we're afraid to act because we might be harmed, that's one thing. But if we don't act, we know we will be harmed.
Correct.
So there's your choice.
I think they're really going to push this under the climate change protection. They're really going to sell it this way. And that's where they're going with it. And I think that the fact that you actually taped being in Washington, D.C. and going up to the Congress people, that was really alarming how you were treated. I was so offended the way they treated you. I couldn't believe these people represent the people. To have brought something so serious, so vitally important, that's so obvious, and you were shunned. I couldn't believe it. There was a few people that were cordial, but most of them were totally rude to you.
Yes, not only were they rude, some of them, as you saw, even ran away from us and stating that they were completely unaware of these issues. Of course, there have been many congressional hearings on the issue of geoengineering, and we were very professional and very polite the way that we addressed our public officials. And just like you said, many of them shunned us. They ran away, stated that they knew nothing about it, really showed no interest to this. And I was very cordial, and I said, we're concerned that, and many of your constituents are concerned that people are getting hurt, people are dying from this, so we really hope that you give it the attention that it deserves. And of course, there was no interest in it. And I think in a sense, it's because these programs, we assume that they're multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar operations. There are tremendous monetary and political interests associated with it. I think it's taboo to address this if you're a public official because, again, they're illegal programs and people are getting hurt from this. So we definitely not only were shunned, but we saw a lot of people run away specifically from this issue.
Yeah, and there was another element there, Michael. I hope that a lot of people are picking up on it now, that even though these Congress critters were saying, we don't know anything about it, don't know much about it, but most of them were willing to say, well, whatever it is, we certainly agree that it should be put under international control. Now, they did know about that, so you know that they knew a lot about it. Yeah, we don't know about it, but it should be controlled by the UN, which is kind of a revealing statement.
And it's a very revealing statement.
Yeah, with this last week, we saw that the United Nations, one of those meetings they had, declared a moratorium on geoengineering. And a lot of people were so jubilant to hear that. At last, I got in a lot of emails. I said, at last, maybe there's some hope. Look, the UN has even declared a moratorium. Well, they don't know what they're reading. If you read the story carefully, what the UN has done is said we don't want individual nations to continue doing this like they have been doing. We want them to stop until we have total control of it so that we can conduct the operation. That's what it's all about. And people are so jubilant because they think, those wise people at the UN are putting a moratorium on it. I mean, that's not the way the real world works.
I thought it was fascinating, too, that in the film you had talked about the paper called Owning the Weather by, what is it, Michael? Owning the Weather by, was it 2025?
Isn't it 2012?
No, 2025.
It's 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
In expressed interest of our government, they want complete control of the weather. And often at times people say, well, why would a country want to control the weather? And I always say, think about the military power. Think about the interest that a certain country or a grouping, perhaps, people who are behind this world government, New World Order agenda, what if there's a country that doesn't want to comply with that, if you control the weather, you could literally create drought in that country and bring the country down to its needs. But then we also have to look at this new industry called the GMO, genetically modified seed industry.
Yes.
And if a country has drought conditions, then, hey, what a great opportunity for a company such as Monsanto.
I think it's all connected. It's all connected. Speaking of the GMO, it's funny, I just invited Jeffrey Smith to come on, who's done a lot of work focused on GMO and its effects and what's going on around the world. What is your take on GMO as it relates to the chemtrail project?
Well, my take on it, I don't think there's any across-the-board agreement necessarily on this part of it, but my personal take on it is that the GMO industry is either actively promoting this weather modification agenda, or they're certainly willing to take advantage of it, economic advantage of it, that's all. They're certainly not going to oppose it, because if you can create weather conditions or change the pH level of the soil so that normal native crops no longer grow, then the world is forced to go to these manufacturers who have created genetically modified seeds that will grow in this altered condition. So naturally, they have a tremendously strong financial interest in seeing this continue.
I know that Raytheon owns Tesla's weather engineering patents.
Well, that's correct. And Raytheon is connected into the HARP program. And, of course, the HARP program is in part weather modification, but there's also technology that most people are unaware of that linked to the HARP that can create earthquakes and also tsunamis. And it's very interesting because, of course, we've seen a tremendous increase in earthquakes around the world. And I'm going to use Haiti as an example. You know, Haiti had an earthquake, and the next day, the U.S. military had occupied it. And it was deeply concerning to many people because rumors came out, which I'm going to have to verify, that the U.S. military was on the southern coast of Florida prepared to do Haiti hurricane relief. So magically, they were prepared to go in there the day before the earthquake. So again, we're going to go back to the military occupation or the military applications associated with these programs. Of course, the HARP, most people believe, requires a fine particulate metal in the sky to emit its frequency and its technology. So there's the connection between the chemtrail issue. But you know, a lot of people believe that a lot of this hurricane activity is modern day warfare, and an unsuspecting American public believes that the people, the governments, such as the U.S. government, who's bringing aid to these countries, they're like, oh, what a wonderful thing, what a fantastic thing. Talk to people from Haiti; they will tell you it's not a pretty sight over there. There's U.S. control now.
Yeah, Michael, would you explain what that HARP program is for people that may not be familiar with it?
Absolutely, and again, HARP program it's a I believe it was rooted in Tesla technology, and HARP uses a frequency to modify weather, and HARP can actually heat up the ionosphere and it can manipulate jet streams and other storms. So for the HARP energy essentially to be transmitted, it does require a fine metal particulate in the air so it can emit its frequency.
Yeah,
but it also...
I think people should know that HARP system is a giant antenna system, a radio transmitter that's located up in Alaska.
And that it emits high-frequency microwave. That's really what it is. It's microwave energy.
Well, they certainly are emitting electromagnetic energy not only into the atmosphere, but my understanding is also into the Earth. So, this is something quite different than just broadcasting your local radio station, although those antennae look pretty much the same. But there are many of them, if you've seen pictures of them. I don't know how many antennae they have up there, but they cover, I guess, hundreds and hundreds of acres. And they tell me that when they turn that thing on, it just drains the power grid in that area, that there's actually dimming of lights that goes on in those towns that are nearby.
I did an hour with Nick Beckett, who wrote Angels Don't Play That Harp last year, and it was pretty frightening what HARP does. And I would imagine that there is a connection between HAARP and the chemical, is it nanoparticles that are put into the air?